Welcome to Fascia Masters Q&A with D&Q, episode 4, Understanding Fascia and Posture.
Hi there, my name is Deanna Hansen. I'm a certified athletic therapist and the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy.
And my name is Quinn Castellane. I'm the VP of Block Therapy and the lead block therapist.
So today we're going to be talking about fascia and posture. And we've been talking about posture for years because it is so instrumental in understanding how to keep our body healthy. And it's so awesome because I just bought this book. It's a #1 bestseller by Jordan B. Peterson. And it's called 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos. And the very first rule is stand up straight with your shoulders back. And I just love that because it really reinforces how significant our container is and what we do with it. And this book is all about understanding order and chaos. In the body, there's order if we apply proper foundation and conscious awareness. If we don't, then our body undergoes chaos from the descent of what gravity does to us over time. This is ultimately what causes pain, aging, and disease and suffering. So we have a choice, which is wonderful because we can make the choice to be conscious of our posture, but we also have to understand how to protect the fascia system, feed the fascia system, and own that proper posture. And that's ultimately what block therapy does.
Exactly.
So you've had lots of experiences in your life with sports and with your posture and the symptoms that you had. So why don't you share a little bit about your youth?
Well, I've realized that posture is nearly everything when it comes to health, well-being, any issues in your body, because all day long, it all depends on how we're aligned. So again, if we're playing sports, which I was such an athletic person, I took everything very serious. I was a perfectionist, so I played every sport that I could pretty well play. And the posture isn't good, especially hockey. I was a big hockey player, and you're always hunched forward, you're skating incorrect. Well, you're skating kind of like a duck, you're forward, your low back always goes out, your head and your neck protrude forward. So if you're playing hockey every single day, which I was, then that's only building myself in that incorrect alignment as I was growing up. So it's not that I already grew in more so correct alignment, I was growing as I was forcing myself in this certain direction. So sports, bodybuilding, everything contributes to your posture, to your alignment. And it's crazy how out of align I was before I started block therapy, and you were really that foundation that brought posture to me at a younger age. And that on its own was a huge kickstart for myself.
Well, and it truly is incredible because when people have pain and suffering, they try to identify one thing. They try to figure out what's causing my pain, how can I fix it? And the reality is, it's the accumulation of our entire life with all of our experiences over time and what we do with our container, our body, 24/7. And people simply don't understand that. So chronic pain, it often comes to us and there's no specific in the moment reason for it. And that's why it's so confusing because it's an accumulation of sitting in front of that computer for 8 hours a day, of playing that sport where we're dominant on one side and we're asymmetrical. I was a provincial volleyball player, so the amount of times I spiked that ball with my right hand and created a twisting action, combined with Highland dancing where I created a turnout with my legs, which affected my low back. And then just, again, how we sit and how we stand. In fact, my dad, your grandpa, he always lied on the couch on the left side, and he was a C. Like his body was literally, his posture reflected what he did all the time. And as much as I shared with him, if you could lie on that other side, then you could start to balance things out. It wasn't comfortable because his body was so used to what he had done lifelong. And ultimately that caused him lots of pain and the way that he aged. So understanding that we have a choice to hold our body in a correct alignment and strengthen proper foundation. So what's really cool is understanding though that the fascia will grip and adhere to bone with a 2,000 pound per square inch force. And this is why it's so tricky. When in this book, for example, it says stand up straight with your shoulders back, that's easy to say. Not so easy to do if you haven't been doing that all the time, because now you are dealing with this force, this magnetic seal that the fascia will grip and adhere to bone with. Again, 2,000 pounds per square inch. It's crazy.
It's really hard to understand that there's such an incredible force in the body always pulling us in different directions. And again, the posture it's so important because, as we talked in a previous episode, the fascia system is continually moving. So if we're slouched forward, then the fascia is going to slowly start migrating and compressing more and more and more. And then over years and over time, it compresses more and up to 2,000 pounds per square inch. I've actually heard that there's some surgeons that can't even cut through fascia with a knife and they need to use a laser. And I totally believe it because that's how powerful it becomes. So as you mentioned, we can't just sit, come back into proper alignment. Like, that's very forceful for people. But when we understand the fascia system, how to release that compression, oxygenate, and then it's like you're almost just floating in that new alignment. You're just there. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to force yourself. It's a really amazing feeling once you've experienced that once, and it becomes addicting because you know it's right and it's easy. You feel healthy, you feel aligned. And that affects everything.
In yoga, it's called effortless effort, when you're properly aligned. So people think that, yes, it's challenging to go from where we're starting to proper alignment, but it's actually more challenging to continue on the descent that gravity is pulling us under, because that is, again, ultimately what's causing blocks to blood and oxygen flow, which result in pain, aging, disease, suffering in general. So to be able to create that release and own that posture, what that does is that improves blood and oxygen flow to cells, as well as cleans the tissue. If there's proper flow in tissue, cells are healthy, they're happy, they're doing their job, they're clean, we're youthful, we're energetic, we've got health in general because our cells are getting what they need. It's when our cells are blocked from what they need that, again, we start experiencing things that we don't want to experience. And again, we have that choice. So what's so cool with block therapy is when we're doing the positions, we get into the tissue and we release that magnetic seal all the way down to the bone. Combine that with proper diaphragmatic breathing, that inflates that space that we're targeting. And then most importantly, the third aspect of block therapy is owning that space through understanding proper foundation.
Yes.
So there's basically three that we cover in block therapy. From the bottom up, we talk about rooting so that we can allow the lower body to support everything up the chain. From the perspective of the chest, the diaphragm muscle, it's the foundation for the rib cage. And when we work that muscle, not only does it feed the body 600% more oxygen, it also supports the alignment of the rib cage. And inside this cage is your heart and lungs. So, you know, people think that the brain is the center of it all. It's really the heart. Our body can still survive if our brain function dies. As soon as our heart dies, we die. So this is an area that we need to pay particular attention to in order to be healthy. And then lastly, the third foundation that we address is the tongue muscle. The tongue is here to, in part, help support the weight of the head and the neck. And because most people don't understand that and strengthen this muscle properly, it becomes a hindrance. It assists the head in coming forward, which blocks flow to the brain, to the eyes, to the hair, to the skin. And again, it causes aging and things that we don't want to happen.
Totally.
So sorry.
No. Just something I was going to touch on before, because I love how you just broke down the three foundations, but just taking a quick step back about just posture in general, it all comes down to being conscious of your habits. So the one thing for you to do now and to start today is look at yourself when you're sitting in your car, when you're on the couch, when you're at the computer. What is your posture like? Because it's so easy to drive, have one hand on the steering wheel, kind of leaning onto like the one elbow. And over time, that's going to collapse you in a certain direction. If you're at a computer, if you're hunched over and you're looking up like this is causing a collapse in the rib cage, which is going to be a cause site to pain in your shoulders, your head, and your neck over time. So one thing for you to start, as I mentioned, is just become conscious, become aware, and it's all about breaking those habits. And it's not doing it overnight, it's just becoming conscious so that you can move yourself in towards that correct direction.
And it's also becoming aware that there's pain sites and cause sites. And this is something, again, that we really teach people in block therapy, because if you have right shoulder pain and you're right-handed, one of the cause sites is likely going to be the left lower rib cage, because we collapse into our body. We're dominant on one side, so there's rotation. So we age in a forward rotational direction under the constant force of gravity, and that's why we don't even notice it until, boom, we have chronic pain. And here we go. What happened? Well, it's an accumulation of your habits over your lifetime. So understanding that and creating those changes today is what will benefit you tomorrow. And there's no better time to start than right now. Because if you don't start to pay attention today, that is going to just keep adding up tomorrow. And then there's more to undo. There's more time to take out.
Exactly. Then no, that's a very good statement, because with block therapy, what we do is we take time out of tissue. So we can be collapsed. And that's a great thing to understand, is that it's never too late to start. So you can be very, very compressed. That might take longer for you to come back to proper balance and alignment, but it's never too late. That's the best thing with the body and the fascia system, is once you feed it with what it needs and you create the space so that flow is optimal, then your body heals itself. It rejuvenates, and then you understand that proper alignment. Because posture, as I mentioned before, you have to be conscious of it literally all the time. But as you become more conscious of it, you're going to automatically go into that correct alignment. And that's exactly what we teach. We teach blocking, which releases the adhesions and the compression in the body. The breath inflates that space with oxygen, and then the proper posture is what maintains that new space and alignment we created. It's owning that, strengthening that new alignment.
And I think it's important to understand that the body wants to be correct. Our cells want to be where they're supposed to be. We have 100 trillion cells, and each cell has a position. When it is in position, we're happy, we're healthy. It's when the cells start to migrate away from their alignment, that's when they start to become stressed. The first thing we feel is pain. If that's ignored, then other symptoms start to develop depending on what tissue or what structures aren't being properly fed. So again, it's understanding that we want to put ourselves back to where they're supposed to be and that they want to be there. So in the beginning, it's training a habit. Once we train that habit, the body's happy and it starts to give us cues, as you said. And I mean, I still will go up to a counter and I'll automatically go into that unconscious posture, but my body tells me right away because it knows that it doesn't want to be there anymore. And this is a lifestyle. You know, gravity is never going to stop pulling us down toward the earth. We have this beautiful design in the body, the conscious exhalation, which is the counterforce to gravity. So when we start understanding that process, we become lighter, and then it's easier to own our posture. And that's really what it's about. It's giving you a lifestyle that you can integrate that becomes simple, safe, and easy.
Well, and that's exactly it, because we need to make this a lifestyle. It's not like we're going to a massage therapist for an hour and then forgetting about everything else and what we just did. We're not just going to go to a yoga class and forget the posture component of it. We're reminding you daily. We're reminding us what we need to do to be in that correct alignment.
And really, it's all about understanding order and chaos, just like what this book is talking about. When we adhere to proper alignment, we have internal order, and that helps us in life. If our body is out of alignment, we have internal chaos, and that's how we're going to view life. And then life will be more challenging. So just like the first rule, sit up straight with your shoulders back. It's profound, it's simple, and block therapy is a very awesome solution to give you the tools that you need in order to get that in your life.
Exactly. So guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to keep up with this educational series. Use the hashtag #AskBlockTherapy on any social media platform, and then that's where you can ask any question and we'll be sure to answer. Like this video if you enjoyed this. Comment below if you have any questions, concerns, or if you want to see any other videos to answer any of your questions.
Breathe and believe.